Number 10. Crystal. Honestly, Crystal does not get enough appreciation and acknowledgement here, so I figured since Inhumans are technically considered to be cosmic and all, what with them living for a time on the blue area of the moon where their home of Attilan was moved to, and often getting involved in cosmic intergalactic conflicts, I figured why not use this opportunity to talk about Crystal, her powers and abilities, and why they are so cool. While Crystal might not have access to an avatar state, she basically has all of the skills and abilities of the avatar. She can control and manipulate the 4 elements on a molecular level, controlling oxygen to make fire spontaneously appear. She can combine hydrogen and oxygen to create water or rain. She can manipulate the movement of air. She can cause earthquakes to happen, and has even on occasion managed to affect the position of tectonic plates. The limits of her powers lie in the amount of area or volume of an element that she can control at one time. Also, using her powers does tend to wear her out, so she's really best at performing in shorter battles or ones that are not as demanding on her abilities. Still, even though she is often overshadowed by her sister Medusa and often her brother-in-law as well, Black Bolt, her abilities are still pretty impressive. Number 9. Night Mask. Night Mask is also known as Adam Blackveil, or sometimes just Blackveil. He was the first being created by Ex Nihilo, one of the gardeners who worked alongside the Builders to create new and perfect life throughout the galaxy, and refurbishing existing beings, transforming them into something better. Considered to be a perfect being, Night Mask has powers which allow him to teleport from anywhere to anywhere else in space, even potentially moving through or to alternate worlds, by creating portals and utilizing the extra-dimensional place known as the Superflow to cover vast distances. The Superflow is basically like the space between universes, where concepts and dreams are said to originate. Kind of like a cosmic shortcut, if you will. He can also communicate with almost any technological device and bend that device to his will, reprogramming it easily to serve his own purpose. Night Mask also has the ability to use his energy halos to emit blasts of destructive energy, so he's not too shabby in a fight neither. Number 8. MAR-VELL. MAR-VELL was not only powerful for the tech he wielded, but he also has had a wealth of powers that have seemed to surface and then weirdly disappear over time. He has used his Unibeam, worn and been strengthened and protected by negabands, and has various other gadgets that he's able to utilize in battle. He's been shown to be fast enough to dodge bullets and has increased strength while on Earth due to Earth's gravitational pull being less intense than what he's used to. He's also had his powers enhanced over the years, now and then making him insanely powerful, like when he was Protector of the Universe and also had cosmic awareness. Is that how gravity works? If the pull is less, you're stronger, right? Because you're used to on your world like having to fight gravity. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Science. Number 7. HULKLING. HULKLING has both a Kree and Skrull heritage and background, being the son of Skrull Princess Anel and Kree hero MAR-VELL. He was spirited away when he was young in order to ensure he was protected and hidden on Earth, where he was raised by his foster mother, Mary Jo Altman, from whom he gets his surname. Theodore, or Teddy Altman, grew up to become a shape-shifting hero who was not aware of his true lineage until later in his life. He is not only super strong and durable due to his enhanced physiology, but he also has a healing factor and can shapeshift, even giving himself wings, which then he can use to fly with. Recently in the Empire event, HULKLING was also given the power of Excelsior, an ancestral space sword imbued with cosmic power, which was bestowed upon him when he became the Emperor of the Alliance, Emperor Dorak VIII. Number 6. Carol Danvers. In the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Carol has been established as one of the most powerful heroes that we have. She took a straight up headbutt from Thanos while trying to hold him off while he was wearing the Infinity Gauntlet, and she didn't even really blink during that at all. Craziness. Now in the comics, Carol is not quite as powerful, but she's still proven her strength and toughness time and time again. She's taken on the Hulk, managed to withstand a direct energy blast from Thanos, and even when she struggled to use her powers due to a tumor in her brain, she still fought to use her super strength, managing to lift up an entire subway train without really much effort. And in case you're wondering, that tumor was kind of trying to dampen her powers. fact, she could have killed herself by using her powers or flying at the time. Carol is also a skilled pilot and tactician, and although she's right-handed, you definitely still wouldn't want her to get you with her left hook. Even though she admits her left arm isn't as strong as her dominant right, she can still hit you so hard you'll fly from planet Earth to space if you manage to survive that hit, and if you can even survive in space, which I can't, so I would be dead. Number 5. Starbrand. Kevin Connor was just a normal human college kid when, during the White event, he received the power of Starbrand. This surge of power caused him to destroy the college that he attended and got him the attention of the Avengers, Nightmask, and Captain Universe. Starbrand would later travel with Nightmask to see his creator Ex Nihilo, who would then help to explain what had happened to Kevin and how best to handle these new powers. With the power of the Starbrand, Kevin received virtually limitless energy-based powers, which increased Kevin's strength and endurance. He was also able to project energy blasts, manipulate energy, and even manipulate matter at a quantum level. Number 4. Ronan. Ronan doesn't just happen to have his Kree physiology, this often Kree hero also has had himself leveled up in terms of his physiology due to cybernetic implants, and he has even had his power levels upped by an interaction with the black vortex mirror, which often unlocks one's potential even after the user has relinquished the powers that were imbued by it. The awesome thing about Ronan is that he's not only super strong, durable, and fast, but he's also quite intelligent. Sure, he hasn't always been a hero, but when he does work with and for the good guys, he is a powerhouse. And even when he's considered more of a villain, he is still often respected by fellow supers, no matter their alignment. Fun fact, while Ronan has actually fought against the Inhumans in the past, he has also for a time allied himself with them, and he even married and was in love with the Inhuman Crystal, who we talked about earlier. I actually really like them together. I think they're cute. Number 3. Gladiator. Gladiator is known for being a prominent member of the Shi'ar Imperial Guard. He himself is a citizen of the Shi'ar Empire who has been shown to be powerful enough to defeat Thanos in a fight. The thing about Gladiator, aka KARNAK, is that his confidence increases his power levels. If he's confident enough, his strength and speed can become almost limitless in terms of power levels, also making him near invulnerable to taking damage as well, strengthening his durability. He has been shown to be powerful enough to take down the Thing, and has even managed to explode and destroy planets with the force of his blows. Now that is some super strength. Number 2. Beta Ray Bill. Beta Ray Bill never gets enough love and respect, so it is time to give him some. Beta Ray Bill is a Corbinite who was chosen to be his people's champion. As such, he was transformed into a cybernetic being which enhanced his physiology. Originally, Bill started out as a nemesis to Thor, who Bill believed was a threat to the Corbinites that Bill himself was responsible for protecting. The two fought in a battle for who would get to keep Thor's hammer, following Bill managing to claim the hammer and defeat Thor in combat. Bill also actually won that trial, but in the end, Odin decided Thor could actually have his hammer back and instead forged a new hammer called Stormbreaker for Bill. Following this, Bill would work with the Asgardians and grow close to them, befriend Lady Sif, Thor, and others. His strength is said to match Thor's, and he is known for being superhumanly fast and durable. He's also virtually immortal when it comes to how long he could survive for, based on the fact that he's kind of a cyborg. Number 1. Adam Warlock. Adam Warlock is a perfect being who was created by a group of researchers known as the Enclave. After he was born, he was also taken in and given motivation by the Soul Stone by the High Evolutionary. Technically, Warlock's potential is infinite, as following each rebirth cycle he has a tendency to become more and more powerful and can even develop new powers during as needed. Adam Warlock has intense cosmic awareness, has been telepathic, is capable of energy and matter manipulation, and is considered to be super strong, durable, fast, and even immortal due to the sheer, indomitable strength of his soul. Number 10. Medusa. Medusa is known as being the wife of Black Bolt, or one of the wives, but she's kind of the main one. The one Black Bolt really relies on when it comes to helping him rule the Inhumans. She and Black Bolt are basically the king and queen of the Inhuman city of Attilan. She is able to speak to her husband telepathically, but this is not where her powers lie. Her strength comes from her fighting skills and her trichokinesis powers, which allow her to control her hair and use her hair strands as a weapon. Hair fighting. Medusa's hair is super strong and can also be manipulated as though it were a whip. We've seen her use it like a rope to restrain people, reinforce herself, and to lift other things. Add in the fact that Medusa is quite skilled when it comes to wielding her terrifyingly long and powerful locks, and she can prove to be a mighty enemy in battle. Number 9. STARLORD. STARLORD in the Marvel Cinematic Universe is known for being half Terran or human and half living planet, I guess? We learn in Guardians of the Galaxy 2 that Star-Lord aka Peter Quill is actually the son of Ego, the living planet. However, in the comics, Star-Lord's dad is someone else entirely, although Peter still remains half alien by birth due to his father's identity. In the comics, Peter Quill is the son of Jason of Spartax, a prince of Spartax whose father was the Emperor. At one point, in fact, Peter would end up ruling Spartax after his girlfriend at the time, Kitty Pryde, used her powers enhanced by the Black Vortex to save the planet. Peter grew up not knowing of his true heritage, as Jason had erased his mother's memories of ever meeting his father to spare her the pain of him leaving, not knowing that they had conceived a child together.
You are the father!
But even without knowledge of his heritage, Peter has always been pretty spacey, often known for being the leader of the Guardians of the Galaxy team. Number 8. NOVAR. NOVAR is also known as Marvel Boy. He is a Kree from the alternate reality of Earth 2000. So many zeros. He is a Kree from the alternate reality of Earth 200080. He was one of the crewmates aboard the Marvel, a ship whose crew was tasked with a peacekeeping mission aiming to maintain a ceasefire between the Kree and Skrull of their reality. After finding their ship was lost in the multiverse, they ended up being shot down and crash landed on Earth 616's Earth. NOVAR was the sole survivor of the crash. Originally, NOVAR blamed all humans for the death of his crew and his parents, who were also aboard. However, over time, the other heroes were able to convince him to abandon his quest for revenge and join them instead in protecting the planet. Eventually, he would come to be an ally and member of the Young Avengers. He is a hero who is known for his intelligence, especially when it comes to Kree tech, his fighting skills, speed, durability, and strength. He also has been known to use equipment such as Plex, the knowledgeable living database that once belonged to his ship, and his own set of negabands, given to him by the Supreme Intelligence. Number 7. WRAITH. Zach Dell in truth is really more anti-hero than full-out hero, but he's super cool and we don't talk about him enough, so I'm willing to extend the reaches of the parameters of this list to include him. Zach Dell was Kree-born but ended up being estranged from his family after they were killed by a Kree death squad, led by a mysterious figure. He himself at least was not murdered, but instead was propelled outward into space, left drifting helplessly. Eventually, he ran into a subspace of the Kree who had become trapped in a wormhole and exposed to space parasites known as the Exelon. These Kree called themselves the Nameless. They stabbed Zach Dell upon finding him so that he too would be exposed to the Exelon and also become one of the Nameless. He hasn't always been bonded to the Exelon, but while bonded, received enhanced strength, energy manipulation, the ability to inspire intense fear in his opponents, and regenerative capabilities. WRAITH even managed to use his powers to make the Phalanx feel fear, which is pretty impressive. Number 6. Moondragon. Moondragon was once a human girl known as Heather Douglas. After being nearly killed by THANOS, who had come across her and her family while they were driving out in the desert, she was rescued by Mentor. Seeking to make amends for his son's murderous ways, he took Heather to Titan and gave her to the Shaolorn monks to be brought up. There, she would grow into the powerful telepathic and telekinetic hero known as Moondragon. Heather's father would also survive this attack by being reborn as the being known as Drax the Destroyer. Moondragon has been shown to possess telepathic strength great enough to possess millions of people at once, and can deliver a mind blast strong enough to take out the Hulk. Number 5. Black Bolt. Black Bolt is the king and ruler of the Inhumans. You might be wondering why I even included him and his wife Medusa on this list. How are Inhumans spacey, you might wonder? Well, not only have Inhumans been involved in various different galactic matters involving various planets and empires, but for a time they actually called space their home, with their city of Attilan residing in the blue area of the moon. Black Bolt himself is known for being one of the most powerful of the Inhumans. Through Terrigenesis, he unlocked the power of his voice. The speech center in his brain gives him the power to harness electrons using his voice, which basically means he can blow you apart with a shout or blow you away with a whisper. Black Bolt himself is also a modicum telepathic and uses his telepathic powers to communicate with others like Medusa and to shield himself from psychic attack. Number 4. Miss America. America Chavez is super spacey. Just listen to her origin story. She comes from a place known as the Utopian Parallel, a place out of space and time, an alternate world that was in essence created by Wiccan, who here is known as the Demiurge. She was raised by two mothers, Amalia and her wife Elena Chavez. Her mothers sacrificed themselves to save their home, sealing up black holes that threatened its existence. As a result, the Utopian Parallel ended up being sucked into the Marvel multiverse. Inspired by her mother's sacrifice, America Chavez ran away from her home, confident that it would be safe without her, and set out to save other worlds in other dimensions, traveling through space and time. America Chavez may have grown up on Utopian Parallel, but she is also a member or descendant of the Furtonas, a humanoid alien race created by two deities in love with one another. As such, she has powers from both worlds, possessing super strength, speed, invulnerability, and the abilities to create multi-dimensional portals, manipulate energy, and fly. Number 3. Smasher. Isabel Kane was originally a normal human living on a farm in Iowa, but one day she came across the exospecs of a Smasher. Smashers are members of the Shi'ar Imperial Guard. They look like humans but are aliens who use exospecs, a set of goggles, to grant themselves powers and enhance their abilities. Izzy would be granted powers like superhuman strength, speed, and durability, as well as the ability to fly, and do so at hyper speed when needed. She would later leave Earth, traveling to the Shi'ar Empire and joining the Imperial Guard. Later on, when she returned to Earth, she would be recruited by Captain America to join the Avengers. Number 2. Thor. That's right! Thor can actually be considered a cosmic hero.
I'm very protective of the humans because they're so helpless and ridiculous.
Well, he can be considered a godly hero too, but it turns out those categories are not always mutually exclusive. In fact, there are many instances where they go hand in hand with characters. Thor himself is from Asgard, but Asgard itself is actually located in outer space. Unlike Earth, it's not round, but more flat. In fact, the 10 realms are believed to be located potentially in alternate dimensions. Asgard, Alfheim, Nidavellir, and Vanaheim are all believed to be part of the same dimension. When wielding Mjolnir, Thor is considered one of the most powerful heroes around. He can use his hammer to destroy mountains, moons, and easily demolish important Earth landmarks and monuments, such as the Great Pyramids and the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Number 1. Silver Surfer. The Silver Surfer is one of the most powerful cosmic beings around. He does his best to be a hero while also often being known for serving his master Galactus as a herald. He's probably one of the most heroic heralds, to be honest. He gets his powers from his master Galactus, who imbued him with the power Cosmic after he agreed to serve him in exchange for Galactus sparing the Silver Surfer's homeworld, which Galactus was about to devour. However, in becoming a herald, Norrin Radd, as he was formerly known, also lost a part of himself, being unable to remember much of his past life before becoming the Silver Surfer. He has used his power in the past both to disrupt all technology and electricity in the world, turning off all of its power, and has also used his power to save the world, preventing it from being destroyed by binding his cosmic soul to the planet's core. Number 10. Crystal. Crystal is the sister to Medusa. She was also for a long time the love interest of Quicksilver, and the two even had a child together and were married. Crystal has also been in a relationship with Johnny Storm, another famous hero and a member of the Fantastic Four. It is possible through her attachment to Johnny we could see Crystal introduced in the MCU, as we know the Fantastic Four will be showing up eventually. And perhaps even through Crystal we could be introduced to the Inhumans, and their sometimes cosmic home of Attilan, a floating invisible city that has existed before on the moon and at other times floating over Manhattan, specifically the blue area of the moon, where everything happens on the moon in Marvel. Crystal also has pretty cool superpowers herself, which allow her to control the elements, making her pretty powerful, but not too powerful, as she can tire herself out from overuse. And I personally think people that have the potential to be really powerful but also have some kind of setback, that's a great character for the MCU. Number 9. Karnak. We talk about Black Bolt and Medusa usually when we discuss Inhuman characters that we want to see more of, but there are other Inhumans who are also cool and deserve our attention, like Karnak. Karnak is a master martial artist as well as a priest and philosopher. He possesses the ability to see the flaw in all things, which makes him not only an immensely skilled fighter, but also lends to his intelligence as well. Karnak is also a member of the Inhuman royal family. If the Inhumans do end up appearing in the MCU at any point, Karnak would be a character that we'd hope to see because he's just so interesting and such a badass, even without being exposed to the Terrigen Mists and undergoing Terrigenesis. He is loyal to Black Bolt and Medusa even after he seemingly dies. He manages to return within the New Human lineage, who he is related to but remains kinda trapped within, thinking he is in hell. When he eventually learns the truth, he works toward escaping his prison, bursting forth from lineage, and in the process killing him in Medusa's hour of need, as she was being defeated by Lineage, who had become her royal advisor as she ruled over New Attilan, but had plotted to betray her. And friends, before we move on to the next spot, if you are loving this list and you want more lists like it, be sure to let us know by giving this video a thumbs up. Number 8. Cosmo the Space Dog. We have seen Cosmo the Dog before in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but not in as active as a role as comic fans know him for. Originally, Cosmo the Space Dog was an ally of the Guardians of the Galaxy team during their relaunch in 2008. He made his first appearance in the 2007 Nova series in issue number 8 and would join up with the Guardians team led by STARLORD in their 2008 series Guardians of the Galaxy, appearing as an ally to the team and supporting character as early as issue number 1. Cosmo in the MCU has mostly been relegated to an Easter egg or cameo appearance for comic book fans to enjoy. Cosmo could potentially go on to have more of an actual role in the MCU though, if we get to see more spin-offs with T'Challa as Star-Lord, leading the Guardians team we saw in episode 2 of the What If animated series. Here Cosmo actually gets rescued from Tavon's collection and travels to Wakanda with the team following their adventure in Nowhere. He's there, so he could join the team, which I would be really into. Number 7. Silver Surfer. Another hero that we'd love to see show up in the MCU would be Silver Surfer, and honestly, I wouldn't mind this hero appearing with or without his attachment to Galactus, at least initially. Silver Surfer in the comics is typically known for being the most powerful all-around herald of Galactus. Norrin Radd was once a scholar who resided on the planet Zenn-La, but when Galactus arrived to devour his home planet, he offered instead to work as Galactus' herald, helping him to seek out planets to satiate his hunger in exchange for him leaving Zenn-La in peace. Galactus accepted Norrin's offer and transformed him into the silver-skinned surfer we know today, imbuing him with the almighty power cosmic. Number 6. Moondragon. Moondragon in the comics is the daughter of Drax the Destroyer. Their comic book origin together is a little different when you compare it with the Drax backstory that we know of from the Guardians of the Galaxy films, at least as we know it right now. However, the hatred Drax feels for Thanos provides us with at least some sense of connection to his comic book counterpart. In the comics, Thanos was responsible for the death of Drax's family back when he was known as the human Arthur Douglas. In the movies, of course, it was Ronan who was responsible, but Ronan was also working with Thanos. In the comics, while his wife Yvette died, Arthur was reborn as Drax and his daughter Heather was also reborn as Moondragon. Moondragon would be taken back to Titan and would study and hone her skills and powers at the Shaolong Monastery. Moondragon has been a member of the Guardians of the Galaxy, Avengers, and Defenders, among others, so there is a lot of opportunity for how she could resurface in the MCU. And if Drax learned that his daughter was actually not killed but somehow survived, that would also add an extra layer of depth for Dave Bautista to play with as Drax. And I would be into that. I really like Drax. Number 5. Lockheed. With Lockheed, we also might get to see the addition of Kate Pryde and the other mutants. Yay! Also, we then therefore would actually get to see the amazing relationship between Kate and her steadfast and loyal friend Lockheed. It's weird to think of Lockheed as being so cosmic, as he's so closely associated with the mutant faction of heroes in the comics, and yet he is a dragon-like space alien. Lockheed befriended Kitty when she and the X-Men were kidnapped by the Brood and taken to one of their colonized worlds. Lockheed saved Kitty and decided to head back to Earth with her despite having his own home and family back in space, who he in essence abandoned just to be with Kitty and the X-Men team. Lockheed appeared as an Easter egg of sorts in New Mutants, being Illyana's imaginary friend in puppet form, who turned out really actually existed. This also was a fun nod considering that Lockheed also happened to match the description of a creature from a fairy tale story in the comics that Kitty had told Illyana before she ended up being kidnapped and in space. New Mutants, however, exists outside of MCU canon, so this appearance does not count. Lockheed was also once an agent of SWORD in the comics, so there are a few opportunities when it comes to how he could show up in the MCU, either with the mutants or with SWORD. And think of all the merch and Lockheed plushies we could get if he did. I want all the Lockheed merch. Number 4. Manifold. Manifold is Eden Fessy, a mutant who is gaining more and more prominence in the comics and is known as the Master Teleporter and also espionage operative for SWORD, the now all-mutant space-based organization. SWORD in the comics stands for Sentient World Observation and Response Department. While in the MCU it stands for Sentient Weapon Observation Response Division, there is still a chance that with new management, SWORD could become more about observation and defense than sentient weapons and offense. If that were to happen when mutants arrive in the MCU, Manifold might be a good fit for a new recruit, just like in the comics. Manifold's mutant powers themselves are quite cosmic in nature, allowing Manifold to warp time and space through communicating with the universe basically, who generally grants Manifold whatever he asks for, bending itself in essence to his whim and allowing him to travel great distances with ease. Don't underestimate Manifold, he is a masterful teleporter. And y'all know how I feel about teleporters. Teleporters are so OP. Number 3. Adam Warlock. Adam Warlock was teased at the end of the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, but we still haven't seen the character just yet, nor has he been cast. Although there were some rumors spreading around online a few months ago about the search for Adam Warlock having begun in the casting room, and even rumors about just what type of actor James Gunn and the team were looking for. Gunn, however, quashed those claims himself in a tweet. Adam Warlock is an immensely powerful character in the comics, and one that would be really cool to see on the big screen. However, it seems that while it is likely we will see Adam Warlock, the creation of Aisha, and the Sovereign as teased at the end of Guardians 2, it seems less likely that we'll see him appear in the third and final Guardians 3. He might not show up there. At least that's what James Gunn is leading us to believe, unless he's trying to sneak one past us and be like, yeah, he won't be there, and then he still shows up. Perhaps though he will be a new character who gets his own series of films and is simply introduced as a concept in Guardians of the Galaxy 3, which I could see being a thing considering how important Adam Warlock is. Only time though will tell. The other big question of course will be who will be the right person for this role? Who will play him? Since apparently we thought we had an idea, but we don't have any ideas yet. Is it weird that I would really love to see Keanu Reeves as Adam Warlock? Is that a weird cast? I don't know. Number 2. Abigail Brand. Abigail Brand was a character that I was hoping to meet when SWORD was introduced in the MCU in WandaVision. I was waiting. I was like, SWORD, Abigail Brand, here she comes. Unfortunately, the version of SWORD we got to know was a little different. And mutants, of course, still do not exist in the MCU, so that is another problem with introducing Brand, who is known for being a mutant. Her mutant power causes her hands to ignite, erupting into all-around flames that are typically depicted as being either red or blue. The flames she can create are hot enough to burn through most types of metal. Abigail Brand herself is part human and part alien, and she often acts as a leader for SWORD, which used to be associated with S.H.I.E.L.D., operating as a separate division within it, which often meant that we got to see her interacting with Nick Fury, which was pretty great, I gotta say. You could think of Abigail Brand as more of a sassy space pirate version of Maria Hill. Number 1. Emperor Hulkling. One character that we have all been really excited to see show up in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, who has been huge in the comics and only getting even greater in terms of popularity, is Emperor Doric VIII, aka Hulkling. Hulkling's current cosmic husband, Wiccan, aka Billy Kaplan, did of course recently show up in kid form in WandaVision, and as other various members of the Young Avengers appear to be surfacing in the MCU, fans everywhere are wondering just how and when Teddy Altman will make his appearance. Hulkling is one of the original members of the Young Avengers and is currently known as the head and ruling emperor of the Kree-Skrull Alliance. Assuming this role just before the events of Empire, Teddy was crucial to ending the 100-year-long war between the Kree and Skrull to unify the two groups and create the Alliance. Actually, I don't know if it was 100 years. It may have been longer than 100 years, just putting that out there. But I feel like it was at least 100 years long. Teddy himself is both Kree and Skrull by birth, being the son of MAR-VELL and Princess Anel.
Starting us off in at number 10, TERRAX. Originally known as Tyros, he started as a dictator of Landlac in a solar system around 80,000 light years from Earth. He maintained control using his power over rock. In essence, this guy was a more advanced earthbender, being able to animate figures out of stone that would patrol the kingdom, maintaining his order and rule. However, this wouldn't last forever, since Galactus was seeking a new herald to guide him towards his next dinner buffet. Galactus had also finally learned that you shouldn't have good guys find you worlds to destroy. So when the Fantastic Four asked Galactus for help against the Sphinx, his only condition to help was if the Fantastic Four subdued Tyros for him. They did, and Tyros was exposed to the cosmic power of Galactus and turned him into TERRAX the Tamer. His control over stone was improved tenfold, and he could nearly control a whole planet of stone at once. In addition to this, he was granted the Cosmic Axe, which was capable of generating waves of cosmic force. TERRAX was nuts, even beginning to wipe out worlds before Galactus got there, even at times defying Galactus' wishes, which is pretty ballsy if you ask me. I mean, like, that's what you get for hiring a bad guy though, I guess.
Number 9. Umar. Umar is the sister of Dormammu and is basically on a similar level to her brother. She has a great knowledge of magical lore which she can use to do a vast number of things. She also is capable of teleportation and time travel. And you know how I feel about teleporters, they are pretty OP in my opinion. Same basically with any person, hero or villain who can manipulate time. Umar often allies herself with her brother even though he hasn't always treated her great. I don't think Dormammu will be winning any Brother of the Year awards is all I'm saying. She has also been shown to be more powerful than Doctor Strange even, on occasion. And friends, before we move on to this next spot, if you are loving this list as much as I love all of the things that are cosmic, cosmic things, they're so great, be sure to give this video a thumbs up. I think that was a sentence that made sense.
And today, Ego. Introduced in Thor number 132 in 1966, Ego was created when a mysterious being known as the Stranger visited his home star in order to conduct an experiment. A scientist by the name of Egros started work on a way to save his race from the nova that experiment had left inevitable. The night of the explosion, Egros had his race move into the bunkers he had set up at the planet's core, but the star exploded sooner than they had planned. So in an attempt to save his own life, he tried to reach the underground vault, but failed. However, Egros was merged with every living thing destroyed by that sun, including his people. This created Ego the Living Planet. Considering how this guy is literally a living planet, I think it's safe to say why he's on this list, especially when he was able to hold his own against Galactus. Yeah, a few months after a battle with Thor, Galactus discovered Ego and instantly attacked. Understandably. Ego in his defense created a shield of solid clouds and began to fight back, attempting to strangle Galactus with tentacles. I feel like I've seen that video before. Either way, anyone able to hold their own against Galactus is well deserving to be on this list.
Number 7. Dormammu. Dormammu recently actually came out on top against Ego in a battle, and in certain conditions possesses limitless power. Dormammu is part mystical and part cosmic in terms of what kind of villain he is, but make no mistake that he is not out of his element in outer space at all. Dormammu has battled against Odin and has even threatened to end the Celestials before, who are like super cosmic, claiming that he will be the one to destroy the extremely powerful beings. I think we're still waiting for that to happen, but I believe. Not only has Dormammu threatened the existence of Earth before, like we saw in the MCU, but in the comics he has threatened the entire universe and even entire reality of Earth 616 before. So that's the kind of level that he's generally on. There's like other villains, and then there's Dormammu.
And at 6, Michael KORVAC. Being first introduced in Giant Size Defenders number 3 in 1975, Michael KORVAC's father was killed due to events surrounding his birth in 2977. He was raised by his mother, but when the solar system he lived in on Earth 691 and its colonies became the target for the Brotherhood of Badoon, Michael became a traitor and helped the Brotherhood. However, after a few moments of hesitation later on, he was cut in half and fused with his computer by the Brotherhood, turning him into basically a cyborg. But this seemed to do more harm than good for the Brotherhood, since now KORVAC was dead set on killing those who did this to him, at least until the Grandmaster teleported him to battle Doctor Strange and the Defenders. KORVAC intentionally lost the battle and instead siphoned some of the Grandmaster's power using his new cybernetic abilities, making him even more powerful than before. Eventually, this guy ended up impersonating Kang the Conqueror and the Watcher, and with his ability to siphon power from others, this makes him one of the scariest villains in the Marvel Universe, at least if he was smart about it and didn't go and get himself killed. multiple times.
Number 5. The Builders. The Builders ended up being an insanely massive threat when they first showed up on the scene. They were destroyers of worlds, flying around completely wiping out all life on planets, and threatening some of the greatest empires in the cosmos. Although, originally they were kind of more like creators of life and planets, but I digress. In order to defeat the Builders, thought to be the oldest race of beings in the universe, Earth's heroes were compelled to join forces with the galaxy's other superpowers, including the Shi'ar Empire, the Kree, the Skrulls, Spartax, and more. It took an intergalactic army to even stand a chance against the Builders, and even then, that chance initially seemed pretty bleak, pretty slim. Captain Universe, who was said to have created the Builders, joined the fight against them, and eventually all worlds rose up and united, and were able to defeat them. Later on, an even greater cosmic threat, the Beyonders, who we really need to talk about on a part 2 for this list actually, destroyed the Builders. The Beyonders are pretty crazy.
Getting close to the end, and in number 4, Amatsu Mikaboshi. To the Shinto religion in Japan, Amatsu Mikaboshi is the god of evil, chaos, and the stars, a primordial being who was imprisoned in the Shinto underworld, known as Yomi, for all eternity. Fun. First introduced in Thor Blood Oath number 6 in 2006, this guy is an absolute beast. Just look at him. This thing is my sleep paralysis demon. Mikaboshi fought against the Demogorge for control of literally the universe, and that's not even a joke. This guy was going to wipe out an entire race of interdimensional beings known as the Kami, just to get a sword known as the Grass Cutter. Yeah, the Grass Cutter was a sword of such great power it apparently was worth wiping out an entire race of people. Dude, just get a lawnmower. Mikaboshi existed before the universe did, before the Big Bang, back when time didn't exist and when the universe was only darkness. He can take on anyone from Thor to even Olympian gods by using his extreme arsenal of powers like shape-shifting, bending matter, mystical energy blasts, you name it, this guy can probably do it, including absorbing the entire multiverse, because he nearly did that as well. He was less than 2% away, actually. So close.
Number 3. Magus. Magus is the evil version of Adam Warlock, and we all know how powerful Adam Warlock is. Magus, being his dark equivalent, is extremely dangerous and also has a willing army at his disposal in his own church that he created, the Universal Church of Truth, which isn't really as nice as it sounds at all. They would harshly purify any planets who refused to accept their offer to join them, exterminating all who resisted. Pretty awful stuff. Being that Magus is the negative side of Adam Warlock, he possesses all of his abilities and powers.
Penultimately, in at number 2, Thanos. I'm sure we all know about the Mad Titan, especially thanks to the MCU, but while Thanos' MCU counterpart was portrayed as a man wanting to help a dying universe, at least kind of, the comic version of Thanos had a much simpler objective: impress death! Thanos is the definition of insane, doing whatever it takes to impress Death and gain her affection, and this coupled with an insatiable hunger for power and control makes him quite the dom. From the Cosmic Cube to the Infinity Gems, Thanos' lust for power is never satiated, but even so, he doesn't want to destroy everything. I guess since if he did, there would be nothing left to rule, and no more death to impress his mistress. This causes him to even at times join forces with heroes when there's a bigger threat than himself, teaming up with Adam Warlock to stop Magus and the Goddess, and teaming up with the Guardians to stop the invasion of the Cancerverse, just to name a couple. So while he could kill most of us in a snap, at least we know some of us would survive, so that he could then dom us.
Number 1. Galactus. Galactus is obviously one of the greatest and most constant cosmic threats that the universe faces. He is a devourer of worlds whose bottomless hunger is what makes him such a feared antagonist, even though really Galactus himself is generally pretty neutral without his hunger. In fact, he's even been a force of good on a few occasions. Still, whichever side he's on at the time, which let's be honest, usually is considered to be the more villainous side simply because he needs to destroy worlds to continue surviving, he is not a villain you'd want to come up against, as not only do you have to face him, a massive cosmic giant wielding the extraordinary power cosmic, but you also usually have to deal with his heralds, who themselves can be a lot to handle, and also have a little bit of power cosmic.